Track and field fans, we hope you have enjoyed the second Super Saturday. Super Saturday was made famous, 10 years ago? The London Olympics. Today may not have been quite as good for the British fans, but it was pretty damn good for me. What a day of track and field action, folks. I don't even know where to begin. Who's the guy, Weldon? Herb Elliott? Move over. Ollie Hoare is your Commonwealth Games 1500 meter champion. Takes down Jake Wightman. He takes down Timothy Cheruiyot, the two last world champions. What a race. Vindication for the OAC? Yes or no? We'll react to that. The first Diamond League in Poland has taken place. What a meet. Emmanuel Career, what a winner. Guy gets the job done yet again. Safana San is back in the winner's circle. Femke Bol in the sub-50 club joins the sub-50 club. Here's a name you might want to remember, Dariba Watelji. Is she the future of the women's 1500? 356. Shelly Ann Fraser-Price, no postal world championship hangover for her. 1066. And we'll probably just spend the entire show because the message boards are, I don't want to say overreacting, but people, oh my God, Ritzenheim, OAC, they're so amazing. Well, if we're going to use that and just give all the credit to the coach and the teams, let's do the whole show to Scott Simmons. Avinash Seb of India has defeated Conceição Caputo and won the silver medal in the Commonwealth Games, 3,000 meters. We'll talk about that as well. Well then, the show must go on. Some people are at Commonwealth, some people are at track and field, some people are at the Diamond League. Some people are still on vacation, including Jonathan Golt, including my family. They've just driven off the road without yours truly. May not look like it, folks, but I'm battling COVID. But nothing will stop me from giving my beloved supporters club their Friday 15. I said, family, just leave without me. I've got to do this show for the masses.
It's good to be here, Robert. I'm glad you could join us because I'm not sure I could do a live reaction show by myself. I'm glad we pushed this thing to today because usually Friday 15, it's for supporters club members only. If you want this as a podcast, you got to join. Let'sRun.com/subscribe. Get all the Let's Run content. Get this in your feed. Who wants to listen to this feed live with no promotion on Let's Run at a random time? You can have our analysis in your podcast feed. Join today. But I woke up just in time to catch a race that lived up to the hype. I don't know if you can have hype for a Commonwealth 1500 meters in America, but the Let's Run audience was into this one beforehand, and it delivered on, I think, every angle.
We were thought about doing the Friday 15 yesterday, but I'm like, no, it'll be right before these races. The races are early in the morning. Well, people have already seen the results while they listen to it. Let's react to it afterwards. You've said it before about track and field. It's kind of like a casino. Oftentimes, anticipation is better than the actual race. Not in this case, but I thought the race was at 9:10 a.m. I guess it was at 8:10 a.m. because at 8:40, I was about to send out a poll on Let's Run. This would have been the most embarrassing poll in history. I was going to tweet it out. I was going to say who you got. And I was just in this 1,500 meters because I think it's exciting to say, what are people thinking ahead of time? And right as I was doing this, you saved me from internet shame because you texted me, and we should not tell this. I think it was encrypted on WhatsApp, though. No, actually, it might have been my message. But you violated several laws, I think, but it was amazing. Weldon somehow recorded the entire race on his phone as it happened and just sent it to me and Jonathan Gold. We had no idea what had happened. The race was over, and I had the entire BBC broadcast. The commentary was perfect. It was amazing. It's so much better than what we get in America. The way they let you know about that. They can let a neophyte know what's supposed to happen in this race, like how a fast pace benefits, really with just a few words, and how the pace is hot. They're not trying to say, go down to your local track and this looks fast. No, it was just amazing commentating. and it was an amazing race. And if you missed it, go watch the replays. There's some on YouTube with a different commentary. I don't know if you can watch the BBC commentary, but also the imaging. Some people don't like the imaging because I normally hate the close-ups of people, and the Commonwealth Games are doing tons of close-ups, so you don't get that normal panned out view. But you could see the huge crowd. It did make the atmosphere look cool. And if you missed the race, it was basically a very similar race to the World Championship final. Somebody who I would say, if I'm going to put on my coaching hat and we can do this later, some fool took the thing out hard. And 55 for the first lap. And then we're getting up to 700 meters. And I do not understand why this happens. This is so stupid to me. It's unbelievably stupid. And it's happened in major final after major final after major final. Like, how many minutes in a row do we have to watch this happen? And then you lose the race. So, approaching 700 meters, who wants to take the lead? Timothy Cheruiyot. And he takes the lead. And they go through a 152. And then he basically leads to the end. And then people start coming by him. Oh, Jake Wightman comes by him. So, very similar to the World Championship final where Jakob Ingebrigtsen took the lead, even though Cheruiyot and those other guys were leading it. Ingebrigtsen wanted the lead. He got it. He pushed the pace. And then Wightman comes by with 200 meters to go. So Wightman was in about fifth most of the race. And he's coming by. And with about 160 meters to go, I go, wow, he's just going to do what he did at Worlds. Now, Worlds, he gapped the guys a little bit on the backstretch. Here he was doing the turn. I'm like, is he just going to run away from these guys? And then all of a sudden, I was like, wait a minute, he's not running away from them. And then I'll be honest. Well, then they said no cheering in the press box. I was cheering desperately for Timothy Cheruiyot. I thought he deserved this race. I think he's the best runner in this race. I think his tactics are so stupid. Sometimes it drives me nuts. And I'm like, come on, Timothy. If Jake's not going to win, you get it. And I saw Hoare coming, and I'm like, no, no, no. And I'm sure the white fans, the people who say I'm racist, are not going to believe this. But I was rooting against the white man. I was like, no, you don't deserve this. And I'm not saying Ollie Hoare is not an amazing runner. And I'm not saying Dathan Ritzenheim's not a good coach. And I'm not saying the OAC is not a great addition to the track scene. But I was just like, Hoare's run 347. But I wanted Cheruiyot to win it. But no, Ollie Hoare right at the line got him. Perfect race for him. The first Aussie to win in over 60 years since Herb Elliott. And I think he ran a PB to do it. Amazing. Great vindication for him. Remember, he did not make the Worlds final despite having run a 347 mile. He ran like an absolute idiot in the semifinals of Worlds. I need to go back and watch that race because I haven't seen it. I know he ran a little extra ground. I haven't seen a replay, but this makes up for it in a big way because winning goes a long way. Like, if you get a medal, bronze at Worlds might be better for your contract than the gold in Commonwealth, definitely. But this type of atmosphere in stadium, would I trade this for a bronze at Worlds? I probably would. Yeah, be honest.
I can't believe no one from Australia has won in 60 years. There aren't that many countries in the Commonwealth, and Australia is a decent sized country. But yeah, the race was tremendous. And I'm sure in the next couple of days we'll really break down the splits. But at Worlds, the winning time was what, 3:29? I wonder if that was the difference. Like, Wightman just didn't quite have the same gear in retrospect because the race was just carbon copy, except Ollie Hoare was there, and I think Cheruiyot had a little more here. Like, he obviously at Worlds he really was a non-factor. The final 200 here, he battles back. You don't usually see somebody sort of give up the lead, and I mean that was a couple of differences. At Worlds, he tried to hold the lead off at 200. Wightman got it, then it was all over. Here, he gave up the lead, saved a little something for reserve, comes back ahead. But Ollie Hoare, who's done this a lot, right? He's had that great finish in the Diamond Leagues to usually sort of, a lot of times not win the race, nab a second, come on late, good performance. Here it was perfect to get the win. And Cheruiyot kind of stumbled at the end, but it was too late. He was already past at that point. So no, people don't go there and say, oh, if Cheruiyot had stumbled. He lost it because it was over. He looked over and it's like, oh man, oh no, oh no.
You were talking about Cheruiyot having the lead at Worlds. He didn't have the lead at Worlds in the final 200.
No, he tried to have it. He tried to hold Wightman off, right? Before the 200 to go.
Was that Ingebrigtsen who was in the lead 200 to go?
Oh, never mind. Yeah, I forgot the. Excuse me, a big player was missing here, but yeah, I don't know what the hell happened to Cheruiyot Worlds. Then forget about that. It's funny. I completely was thinking, oh yeah, Wightman was able to get the lead at Worlds, but had to really fight for it.
You make a good point, Weldon. The World's race was faster. 3:29.23, 3:29.47. Now, people are saying it's a faster track. 3:29.90 for third. Mario Garcia Roma 3:30.20 for fourth. Josh Kerr 3:30.60 for fifth. And Timothy Cheruiyot ran 3:30.69. Whereas today, trying to find the results here, but I think it was a 3:30.12 or something like that winning time.
Yep, got it up here on the screen. Well, show the winning time here again. But the winning time today, Robert, 3:30.12. So we need a little more analysis. Essentially, okay, fine, Robert, you could say that, right? Is this race Worlds? Wightman not quite the same thing because he has the pressure of being the favorite. And we've seen that, right? There's tons of pressure in the 1500. It's very difficult when you have to win the race. He tries to take control of this race. Does he feel pressure to go early? The BBC commentators were like, if he wasn't the world champion, would he have waited a bit? He tries the exact same tactic, but what did this race not have? The top three, well, they didn't have essentially two of the three medalists, right, from Worlds. So, if Ingebrigtsen's in this race, I think it's obviously a little bit different. I don't think Ollie Hoare is your champion, but not to take anything away from him.
Look, and I said this. I mean, last night around even though I've got COVID, I was up to 1 a.m. I finally found the betting odds, and he was like 18-1. I'm like, this is crazy. But then, well, does he win it? Really, I couldn't believe the odds. Like Wightman was like 3-2. He was a big favorite. Then 7-2 for Kerr and Cheruiyot. Basically, everybody else was 7-2, and then you could get Hoare at 18-1. And I was like, this guy's running 3:47 mile. Like, this is insane. But if you look at his results, he's normally always second or third on an outdoor stage, which is amazing. But he's not winning. And the reason is he's kind of a poor man's Jakob Ingebrigtsen. People are going to say I'm bashing him, but he's not. His endurance, he's not super fast at 800, and his endurance isn't as good as Ingebrigtsen. He's really, really good, but like, how is he going to win? Like in a rabbited race, when Cheruiyot's not doing all the work, he wins this race. He beats Hoare by just a little bit. And then if it's a slow kickers race, he probably loses as well. Now, look, if the BBC commentators were questioning Wightman, he did the exact same thing when he wasn't the world champion of world. So I think he would have taken the lead. I don't understand why you ever take the lead. People always want to take the lead 200 meters out, 100 meters out. I would take the lead if I coach runners at this level. And by the way, either one of these Kenyans want me to coach you, I promise you I'll coach you back to the top. You'll win this thing. If you're guys running like stupidity, you'll win the world title under me. But like, any race I would coach, people would be so boring. People would sit on the rail, and then they would pass people with 1 meter to go, like 10 meters to go, maybe. Okay, but if I was Wightman, I probably would have waited and just waited. But hey, he just what he did at Worlds. I thought it was great. I was going to blow him away for a while, and he didn't do it. And I went back and watched the replay. And when I was watching it live, I thought, wow, Hoare's perfectly positioned. He's in on the rail. He's in third the whole race, and he wins it. And that was pretty much what happened. I mean, he ran the first, he and Cheruiyot were out on the outside. They ran the first turn like Hoare was basically on the between lane 1 and lane 2, but Cheruiyot was even a half body out. So they run the whole first lap a half body out. Cheruiyot's farther. So Cheruiyot's probably running an extra 2 to 3 meters because it's like 7 meters a lap if you're a full lane out. And then they get in a pretty good position up front, but Cheruiyot's on the outside. So maybe I bet he ran like an extra 4 meters compared to Hoare the first 800, and then he leads. He's got a lead for the next 600. And leading, I think it's a second a lap. So that's like running the whole extra lane in lane 2. So, now Hoare was a little bit outside at that point. When Cheruiyot was winning, Hoare was behind him, but a little bit outside. So Hoare's running a little bit more. So maybe take away that whole extra, maybe it's a half a lane there. But I'm really into like analyzing now in terms of how much are you losing by leading, how much are you saving in ground. So maybe half that. So I think he ran an extra 6-7 meters worth of work by having to lead, from having to run outside compared to Hoare. But amazing run for Hoare, and he deserves it. Because when I was thinking about those betting odds last night, I was thinking, look, does he normally finishes second on the Diamond League circuit? But I'm like, well, sure, this isn't the Diamond League circuit. I'm like, these other guys could be tired. And then I thought, how do we know that just Worlds, like, you could wonder maybe Worlds is a bad sign, he's not in shape. But also, Worlds could have just been a one off day. Like, remember Josh Kerr only barely got out of the first round of Worlds, of the Olympics on time. So I'm like, maybe this is just a one mouth bad day. So that's going to put him in the mix. And I was like, you should bet against Wightman. Those odds are too rich because, everyone thought Ingebrigtsen would never lose a race last year, and he loses right after the Olympics. I'm like, he should be the favorite, but you got to take the field if you're betting against Wightman. So I was just trying to think, like, I didn't think the Kenyans would win. I hadn't been impressed by them. So I was like, if Wightman doesn't win and Kerr doesn't win, who's going to win? It's got to be Hoare. And then I thought, well, maybe the Kenyans are just super. If they work together, I did think maybe they could just run away from these guys. They are used to running 329s. And that's what they try to do, but they're not in 329 shape doing the work.
Yeah, they might be in 329 shape with a rabbit, but they're not as dominant over the field as they used to be. I think they've come back a couple of seconds. I don't think Timothy Cheruiyot's the Timothy Cheruiyot of 3 years ago. And these rest of these guys are pretty good. Ollie Hoare, these guys, they're all 329, 330 runners, even in this type of race. Ollie Hoare is very, 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 very good. And yeah, I don't know if you guys can see this. Probably not, but I woke up to this text. Just trying to show. Actually, I probably should make my screen big if somebody really wants to see it. It's got the betting odds, and it says 1 a.m. last night. First thing I see, Robert says, John, call your boy Cathal Dennehy and let Hoare make your money back and then some. These odds are crazy. So if you want to make some money, listen to Rojo with the betting odds, because Ollie Hoare 18-1 was a great bet.
I forget my own brilliance. I just spent 20 minutes bashing Hoare. Some people are going to think that, but yeah, I thought if I bet on him, I would have been super, super pumped. But it is, you got to look at the depth of these results. And someone in the chat is saying, I don't know if I can get chats up there. Rose Runner saying no one is scared of going out in 151, 152 anymore. There's so many fit runners now. Look at these times. This is a Commonwealth Games final. 5th place, 331.08. Jake Hayward, PB. Sam Tanner, huge PB for New Zealand, 331.34. Matthew Stonier, this guy's super impressive, 332.50. He's like 20 years of age from England. Neil Gorley, PB, 332.98. 93, so 8th. 9th, Elliot Giles, PB, 333. William Paulson, Princeton boy, 10th, 333.97. He equaled his PB. And South African guy who did, I don't know what this guy was doing. Actually, he's the one that led the first 400. He ran 334.66. I don't know why you take out in 55 when your PB is like 335. But he led that. That actually might have helped Cheruiyot. Well, Cheruiyot was going to lead the first 400 anyways because he was in the back. But basically, only 2 people did not run an SB or a PB, and that was Jake Wightman and Josh Kerr. So super running by most of these people.
Wait, Robert, Abel Kipsing led the Force 400. I don't know who you're talking about, but I don't know why he would lead this. He did the same thing at Worlds. It makes no sense. Taking it out in 54 is not a recipe for success. He did the same thing. This race was such a carbon replay of Worlds. I need to see the Worlds, like, 4 and 8 splits as well. But I don't understand the tactics at all. I'd be curious. I would love to see Jakob Ingebrigtsen in this race, get another crack at it. But I think one thing we saw today is sort of, I don't know what we want to call it. The the favorites curse. We've seen it in championship 1500 meter running for so long. It is very hard to win one of these when you're the favorite, when you're expected to sort of dictate, when you're the one who tries to make the move that everyone else responds to. It's sort of easier to be chasing than the hunted. I don't know why. I mean, you think everybody could wait, but the other thing is we haven't seen a really tactical one of these races in a long time now. You know, the Olympics was fast. The Worlds was fast in 2019. World's fast this year. This race was fast, honest. I mean, these are championship races. This was a championship record. History of the Commonwealth Games, Ovet, all those guys. Ollie Hoare is the fastest one ever.
Do you remember back in the day, like when Cheruiyot used to his Achilles, he would win everything on the circuit and then lose the championship races? That was kind of his Achilles heel. So I get why he wanted to make it fast because he's so much better than everybody, but he used to be so much better when time goes. He's not anymore. So he's got 142, 800 meter speed. I'd like to see just like does he really care if he wins the Commonwealth? Probably not to the same extent, considering he's won all these things before. So I'd like to see him just let it go slow and see what happens to see if he's good in that type of race. Because you don't get that many cracks at these slow races. But look, Wightman's tired, and this is like his I just did the math here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, counting heats and stuff, this is like his 9th 1500 meter of the year. Counting World's heats, British trials heats, this. I bet Kipsang's run like 19 or 20. Like the guy races all the time. Like if he would just back off his racing schedule, this is a guy that was setting Olympic records in the semifinals last year as a complete unknown. So I think that the talent is there. He was saying after the semis, "Oh, I'm tired. I'll see what I do in the final." And then he decides to go and push the pace. I don't get it. I don't get it. And I think one of Cheruiyot's problems, if he's going to be not way better than everybody else, is he's got to get comfortable running in the pack. He has a weird stride. He likes to run on the outside, and it's hurting him. All right, we need to step. We can't talk about this one race for 45 minutes.
Well, we can, but I got the splits real quick. I have the splits from Worlds in here. So at Worlds, the first 400 was a bit slower. It was 54 point here, 55 point at Worlds. At 800, almost the exact same split. 152.04 at Worlds, 152.15 here. Then at Worlds, Ingebrigtsen kept it a little more honest. 248.28, Cheruiyot 249.09. And then, the winning time 3:30.13 versus 3:29.23. So I think, very similar races, but there ended up being a little more quality in the front in the Worlds because you had essentially, you had Couture, you had Ingebrigtsen. There was a couple guys. This was a great race. You run this race, you don't win the World Championship, I think is my takeaway. But doesn't matter. Ollie Hoare, Commonwealth champion.
Someone do the math. Do the final 300. Was the final 300 faster at Worlds in a faster race? I mean, do the math. It's very similar.
Oh, yeah, hold on. Well, I'll calculate that. But as you said, let's talk a little bit about the OAC. Yeah, it was good because the club has done so well. And then Ollie Hoare bombing at Worlds, didn't do that well in the Olympic final last year. It's like, oh, wow. I thought the meet for them was fine. I thought they had an okay meet. I didn't have that huge expectations for them. But now you see Hoare do so well here, and you're like, yeah, he should have contended for the medals in Eugene. And that was sort of him not making the final was sort of the one anomaly, I think, for the team as a whole at Worlds. Outside of that, everyone I sort of think ran in the ballpark of what you would have expected. But that's sort of the difficulties of championship racing. You have an off race in a round, you're gone. Like you don't get a chance in the final. And we saw that, with Josh Kerr, almost not making the Olympics second round last year, ends up getting a medal. He obviously was very fit. And Josh Kerr was this year at Worlds, breezed through the rounds, looked like a champ and missed the medals, and then gets last here. So, interesting to see kind of what he does. And Robert, people are there's a message board thread saying not Josh Kerr goes home devastated, but fake Josh Kerr. For those of you who aren't regular podcast listeners, supporters club member, we have a great guy call in, fake Josh Kerr. He leaves us voicemail all the time, got a Scottish accent. He's got to be devastated. Keep your head up. We love you. I mean, there's no excuses from fake Josh Kerr. Take this one like a man. But this time, a fellow Scot didn't win. I don't know what Scots think of Aussies, but like, how upset are you? And Robert, I can't see the chat here, so if you want to add some chat comments, go feel free.
And we have chats on there. It says, "What's up with Josh Kerr, Nathan Bass?" Someone says he talks a lot about delivering. First of all, I think the Scots don't they view the Australians, aren't they like criminals? Didn't they send all the criminals to Australia? And that's everyone in Australia is a descendant of criminal. Unless you're native Australian, then you're rightfully the owners of the land. I'm kidding people, but what happened to Kerr? Well, if he'd won this race, I would have just thought, okay, like he was a little bit off. It's very hard to win these things. Like you run these. This is what makes the 1500 and the 800 one of the best events in track and field. Tactics matter, and the way the race plays out impacts the result. The rest of track and field is pretty boring. 100, 200, 400, it's just you against the clock. You're basically running a time trial. You might as well ignore everybody else and just do your own thing. Here, what you do impacts other people, what they do, etc. But the way I would have viewed it is, we saw this at Worlds. The people that weren't in shape before Worlds didn't do well. Like they kept saying, "Oh, I'm going to come into fitness. I'm going to come into fitness. I'm going to come into fitness," and they never came into fitness. Now I thought Kerr maybe. I really thought coming in here, I'm like, okay, he looks so good. Maybe, you know, I thought maybe he would just hit his peak a little bit off, and he was really going to be in form here. But I don't know, man. That was pretty bad. So, but hey, he's got the Olympic medal. Guess what? Jake Wightman doesn't have an Olympic medal. Ollie Hoare doesn't have an Olympic medal. So sometimes you get it right, sometimes you get it wrong. They're all super good guys. There's how many people in the world can run 331 flat or faster? And the weird thing is, people saying, what's wrong with Josh Kerr? What about Kipsang? This is the guy that set an Olympic record as how old is he? His first time on the stage last year? We didn't know he was. When I ran like 329 from the front. He didn't medal Worlds. He didn't medal Commonwealths. Like, it's just extremely competitive. So wow. And we have an answer, Weldon, to your question. Ron on YouTube. An Australian is just an Irishman who got caught. Wow. We should make that shirt. Has anyone ever made that shirt?
Well, you're only allowed to make fun of people from certain countries. I mean, if this was other countries, we'd run off the planet for saying something like that.
What? Black people can use certain language about themselves. White people can use certain language about themselves as well. Even though.
Fair enough. Yeah. Fair enough.
So amazing race. I mean, I could see it coming, and I was like, "Come on, Timothy, get it." Because I generally like I like it's weird. I like dynasties. I like the greats. I also like underdogs. So I guess Hoare could be an underdog, but I just think that there's too much emphasis on like American teams, and there's too much emphasis on like how the coach makes the winner. Drives me nuts.
Wait, Robert, was it Abel Kipsang's 331? Is that what you're talking about in the semis of the Olympics last year, an Olympic record?
Yes.
That's so crazy, right? People think about that. In the semifinals of the Olympics last year, 331.65 was the Olympic record. Now the Commonwealth is going in 330. Worlds, no one thought it was like a crazy fast race. I mean, Mario Garcia Romo's fourth. It's a 329 race. So pretty nuts.
I mean, right. If we're going to give the credit, can we talk about Van Hoy, the old Ole Miss coach who's now where Cal Poly or whatever? And he coaches a guy in college at 329. I thought Kipsang was really young because he came on to the stage last year. How does this happen? He's 25 years of age. Doesn't show up anywhere before 2019. So he was 22, 20. I mean, crazy how good he is.
All right, Robert, where do we want to turn to next? Do we jump straight to the
Diamond
League?